All right, so get ready because today we're diving into some seriously wild claims about Nikola Tesla. You know, the guy behind AC electricity.
Right, a brilliant mind, no doubt.
Well, the research you sent over suggests some of his other inventions, the ones he thought were too dangerous, might be more than just theories.
It's fascinating stuff, really. A lot of it centers around his work with vibration and resonance.
Okay, and I gotta say, this is where it gets really interesting. Tesla said he could shake buildings with just vibrations. He even claimed he could have brought down the Brooklyn Bridge with a small oscillator. Sounds crazy, right?
Well, on the surface, maybe. But Tesla understood resonance, how every object has a natural frequency at which it vibrates. Hit that frequency just right, even with a tiny force, and those vibrations amplify like crazy.
Like a singer shattering a glass with their voice, right?
Exactly, it's the same principle.
Okay, but Tesla, he wasn't content with just shattering glass. He took it way further. There's this story about him attaching an oscillator to a steel beam in his New York City loft.
I've heard about this.
Yeah, and get this, the vibrations were so strong they shook nearby buildings, windows shattered, people panicked, thought it was an earthquake. So is that even possible? Could he really cause that much chaos with a little device?
It's a famous anecdote, and while it might be exaggerated, the principle of resonance is very real. Tesla was essentially amplifying the vibrations of that beam, and if those vibrations were anywhere near the natural frequency of the building materials around him, it's like a ripple effect, those vibrations would transfer, amplifying through the structure.
So basically, Tesla was onto something with this resonance thing, but then he went even further, right, into this whole other realm of what he called scalar waves. What exactly are those, and why were they so important to him?
This is where Tesla's ideas get really out there. He thought scalar waves were a completely different kind of energy, even more fundamental than the electromagnetic waves we use for, say, radio or Wi-Fi.
Okay, so way more powerful than anything we use today.
That was his belief. He thought he could transmit power wirelessly over huge distances, create force fields, maybe even cause earthquakes using scalar waves.
Wait, hold on. Earthquakes. Now that just sounds unbelievable. Is there any science to back up those claims?
To understand Tesla's obsession, you gotta remember his views on physics were different from the mainstream. He thought you could make these crazy, powerful, concentrated energy beams by intersecting scalar waves. And these beams could have some seriously mind-blowing effects, like massive explosions. He even theorized about disintegration.
Disintegration, like making something vanish into thin air. That's some next-level stuff. But is there any evidence to support these claims, or is it all just speculation?
That's the million-dollar question. Tesla documented his resonance experiments and scalar wave theories meticulously, but proof for the more outlandish claims, much harder to come by.
But still, people have connected the dots, right? Like, our research mentioned the Tunguska event in Siberia back in 1908, that massive explosion that leveled trees for miles. Could that have been Tesla's doing?
The Tunguska event. Now that's a fascinating case. It's true, some people theorize that Tesla's experiments with scalar waves could have caused it. It's a compelling idea, but as of right now, it's highly speculative. The source material also pointed to a book by Dr. Judy Wood about the collapse of the World Trade Center on 9/11, which also suggests something similar might have happened.
Oh, right. I remember reading about that. Dr. Wood argues that some kind of directed energy weapon, potentially like what Tesla was working on, might have been involved in those collapses. She even points to how the towers disintegrated, not just collapsed, as evidence.
It's certainly a thought-provoking theory. It's really important, though, to approach these kinds of claims with a critical and skeptical eye. While Dr. Wood makes some interesting observations, I have to point out that her conclusions are considered quite controversial within the scientific community. But that's what makes this deep dive so fascinating, wouldn't you say? We're exploring the fringes of science, trying to figure out what's plausible and what might be a stretch.
Exactly. It's like we've stumbled onto a scientific mystery and we're piecing together the clues. On one side, you have Tesla's amazing potential clean energy, groundbreaking technology, but on the other, there's this possibility of powerful, maybe even dangerous weapons, especially if that knowledge fell into the wrong hands.
Absolutely. That duality is at the heart of Tesla's legacy. He seemed to understand both the incredible good and the terrifying potential for destruction in his inventions. And that leads to a really important question. How do we ensure that powerful technologies are developed and used responsibly for the benefit of everyone, not for harm?
Wow, that's a big question, and one that's even more relevant today than ever, don't you think? We'll be right back after a quick break to delve even deeper into the mysteries of Nikola Tesla. So before the break, we were talking about scalar waves, that mysterious energy source Tesla was so fascinated by. But I gotta be honest, I'm still a little hazy on the details. What made Tesla's idea of scalar waves so different from how, mainstream science understands them?
That's the crux of it, isn't it? You see, Tesla, he saw scalar waves as this fundamental force in the universe, even more so than those electromagnetic waves we use every day, like for radio or Wi-Fi. He believed they could travel faster than the speed of light and carry incredible amounts of energy over vast distances, practically without any loss.
Wow. Okay, so almost like a supercharged, super fast energy highway. No wonder he was so captivated by them. But here's the thing, if Tesla was really onto something so groundbreaking, why haven't we, figured out this whole wireless energy thing by now? Why are we all still tethered to power cords and dealing with batteries that die way too fast?
That, my friend, is the million-dollar question. And unfortunately, there isn't an easy answer. Tesla's work on scalar waves, it was never truly finished. Remember his Wardenclyffe Tower project? The one that was supposed to demonstrate wireless power transmission on a global scale?
Oh, right. The one that got shut down because his investor, JP Morgan, freaked out about giving away free energy. What a shame.
Precisely. And there's speculation that Tesla's notes, his plans, especially those detailing his work with scalar waves, well, they might have been lost, maybe even deliberately suppressed or confiscated after his death. It's like a real-life scientific mystery novel.
Now that would be a story for the ages. So where does that leave us? We have all these incredible claims, but without solid proof, it's easy to dismiss them as, conspiracy theories.
It's true. Healthy skepticism is crucial when you're dealing with these kinds of extraordinary claims. That's just good science. However, we can't completely rule out the possibility that there's more to Tesla's work than we currently understand. After all, the absence of evidence isn't evidence of absence.
I like that. So you're saying keep an open mind. It's pretty tempting to imagine what other secrets might be buried within Tesla's lost research, or what kind of incredible breakthroughs we could achieve if we could unlock the full potential of his ideas.
Now you're getting it. And that's what makes Tesla such an enduring figure, even today. He challenges us to question what we think we know about science, about the universe, and to imagine what might lie beyond the boundaries of our current understanding. A true visionary in every sense of the word.
Absolutely. And speaking of pushing boundaries, let's talk about the flip side of Tesla's inventions. Our research also dug up some unsettling claims that his work, particularly his understanding of resonance and energy, might have been, weaponized. It's a bit of a dark turn, but an important one to consider.
You're right. It's an aspect of his legacy that often gets overshadowed by the wonder and the innovation. Tesla himself, he was acutely aware that his inventions had the potential for misuse. He wasn't naive about the darker side of progress.
That's a good point. He wasn't just some, eccentric genius tinkering away in his lab without a thought about the implications.
Exactly. He understood that his discoveries could be used for good or for incredibly destructive purposes. Think back to that story about Tesla claiming he could bring down the Empire State Building with one of his oscillators. Whether it's true or not, it speaks volumes about his understanding of the sheer power he was dealing with.
Right, and then there's the Tunguska event. Tesla's potential involvement aside, it's a stark example of the kind of energy that might be harnessed through these principles. Pretty sobering when you think about it.
It certainly makes you think about the potential consequences if scientific ambition goes unchecked. And as we've touched upon, there are those who believe similar technology, perhaps even involving scalar waves, was a factor in more recent events, though those claims are obviously highly contested.
Right, like Dr. Judy Wood's research on the collapse of the World Trade Center towers. Regardless of your take on her conclusions, it's a powerful reminder that scientific advancements, they can be a double-edged sword.
Exactly. Her work highlights the absolute necessity of ethical considerations, a deep sense of responsibility when we're pushing those scientific boundaries, especially as we explore the unknown. It begs the question, how do we as a society navigate these tricky ethical waters and ensure that technologies with this much power are used responsibly?
That is a heavy question, and one we definitely need to grapple with. It's like opening Pandora's box. Once a new technology is out there, there's no guarantee it won't be used for harmful purposes. It's a tough reality to face, but a crucial one as we explore the world of Tesla's inventions.
I couldn't agree more. And that, in my opinion, is what makes Tesla's story so endlessly fascinating. He was brilliant, innovative, but he also understood the profound responsibility that comes with scientific progress. His legacy is complex, a blend of groundbreaking discoveries and cautionary tales.
Very well said. This deep dive has taken us from vibrating buildings to the perplexing world of scalar waves and the ethical challenges of powerful technologies. It's obvious Tesla's legacy is far from a closed book. He makes us challenge what we think we know, sparks our imaginations, and reminds us that we all have a hand in shaping the future.
He was a true pioneer who dared to dream big and push the limits of what we thought was possible. His influence, it's still felt today, urging us to explore, to question, and to never stop pushing the boundaries of human ingenuity.
Absolutely. We'll be right back after a quick break to delve even deeper into the mysteries of Nikola Tesla. Stay tuned. Before we wrap up this deep dive into Nikola Tesla, I wanted to circle back to something we mentioned earlier, this idea that Tesla might have intentionally scattered his research before his death.
Ah, yes. A fascinating theory, isn't it?
It really is. Did he really hide his most groundbreaking work, maybe to keep it out of the wrong hands? It's like something out of a spy movie. What could have driven him to do that?
Well, some people believe Tesla, realizing the potential dangers of his discoveries, decided to divide his most sensitive research, entrusting different parts to different people, maybe even institutions he trusted. It's a possibility, certainly.
It just adds another layer to the whole Tesla mystery. But if that's true, wouldn't that make it almost impossible to separate fact from fiction?
It certainly throws a wrench into the works. But that's part of what makes exploring Tesla's life so compelling. He wasn't just this brilliant inventor, he was a complex individual. I think he grasped the immense power of his work, maybe even wrestled with the potential consequences. It's fascinating.
So where does that leave us? We've explored some pretty mind-blowing concepts today. Buildings resonating, those powerful energy beams, even the possibility of wireless power. But there's the flip side. Incredibly destructive weapons, hidden scientific knowledge. It's a lot to take in. Any final thoughts for our listeners? What should we take away from this deep dive into Nikola Tesla's hidden world?
I think the most important takeaway from Tesla's story is this. Scientific progress isn't always a smooth path. It's not always about innovation leading straight to a utopia. There are ethical dilemmas, unintended consequences. We need to be cautious, responsible with every step forward.
So you're saying it's a call to action for all of us. We're not just along for the ride when it comes to science and technology. We all play a part.
Exactly. As we push those boundaries of knowledge further and further, we have to remember that great power demands great responsibility. It's a lesson Tesla seemed to understand, and it's one we need to take to heart, now more than ever.
Well said. This deep dive has been incredible. We had those jaw-dropping moments, but we're also left with some big unanswered questions. Clearly, Tesla's legacy isn't going anywhere soon. He makes us question everything, sparks our imagination, and reminds us that we all have a hand in shaping the future. Thanks for joining us on this electrifying journey. Until next time, keep those minds curious, keep asking those tough questions, and never stop exploring the edges of what's possible.